Rooted, the Arbor podcast. I'm your host and moderator, Jake Vanderhayden, joined by my co-host, Andrew Arden Witter over here.
Hello.
Trying out the virtual background today. I'm live from the Art Arbor, as you can see in the background.
I'm on the other side of the lake, so he's in the woods. I'm on the other side of the lake. Yeah.
So today we're really excited to get into some of the things that we've been up to, serving you better and really getting some information out into the world that we've been wanting to share. We mentioned on the pod a few times here our Substack and some initiatives that we've had going on our social media regarding more frequent posting and delivering more value and trying to deliver this podcast in other formats as well on short form video. So that's been going, but today we are going to start by talking about our phygital, or what you could say is a digital marketing launch kit, but we want it to be phygital in the sense that you're bringing the physical and the digital together. And also we just saw a year ago today, we were at VCon in LA, and that's kind of where we learned about a lot of this concept of phygital, and definitely go back and check out our recap pod on VCon if you haven't seen it yet. A lot of good value in there as well.
Yeah, it's crazy. A year's passed, but that can open the world up to bringing the some of these, leveraging the Web3 technologies of NFTs and tokens for the phygital. But we like to use the term in the sense of like art in the digital space. And so we made this launch kit on our Substack that, it's a quite in-depth kind of walkthrough and guide to just a more optimal setup for one digital brand. And for us, we really believe that, no perfect brand really exists. So wherever you're at, these can help either remind you or hopefully bring new light to an area that could be improved. But there are some core principles for really any sort of online promotion. The biggest one I always see that really switches people from where they're at to that next level of content creation is really like two pieces. It's being more authentic and creative, and also being super consistent. The more consistent you are, the algorithm likes to pick that up. And the authenticity is that aspect that is your uniqueness in your brand. And that helps and if you engage with your audience more, all this kind of feeds on itself. And I always think people should more cross-pollinate too with some of their content. That mixing some of these principles together, and as you develop these strategies, you'll see more ways to kind of go down this rabbit hole and analyze and adapt your personal take on the content you make, digitally speaking.
Yeah, and I think it's really important to, tie in like the quality of what you're making with that authenticity, because, as we all know, when you're online and you see like, clickbait video where it's like to do this crazy thing and yeah. I don't find that authentic. Like we can leave that in like 2012, nowadays it's like you can just be like in your garage talking, and like if you're being real with me, like I'll watch it. But at the same time, by like high quality, I would say it has to do with more of the quality of what you're putting out there versus like the production value of everything. I mean, of course, like if you add all these editing layers and your background and your sound and your lighting, and like those things are important. Like you don't want like a grainy video with like no lighting, and your mic is awful, and like you need to like do the bare minimum. But I think it really is a testament to like what TikTok has done to change the digital landscape, because
totally.
I mean, if you talk about like media in the traditional sense of like linear television, or even I would say like the YouTube era of the 2010s, like pioneered by those like Mr. Beast, that kind of content was a much higher production level than what people are doing on TikTok. But I think that's where TikTok really broke through, is like people just like in their bedroom reading the news. Like people were there for the authentic content and the quality of what they were saying, and it was less about like being in a news studio and having a teleprompter and a script and, big lights and makeup and all these things. Like, of course, like that's a psychology trick for people to kind of take you more seriously. But I think, during the pandemic years and going into where we are now in the modern landscape, I think it's all about that real quality, authentic messaging and staying true to what you believe in. And I think podcasts are the best example of that. I think, any podcaster out there is really, programming what they want on their podcast. And that's how we've run Rooted here, as well as, having different types of formats, trying new things. Like I have this virtual background on today. Like we're just experimenting, seeing what we like, optimizing, trying to, do what we can to make quality programming, but at the same time, it's not like we're locked in.
Most people, I think, underestimate the power of just doing it and just sending it and getting out there and making content. Some people I talk to, they just get in their heads about it. They're, I don't know where to start or what to do, or this got to be just right, or I don't want to do this because of that thing. To me, part of the authenticity is that you don't know what you're doing. So you put yourself out there, and as the only true way to iterate is through activity and through taking action. Doing this process is like the only way to really get. So don't wait, don't hold back. And if you only get 100 views or 50 views or six likes or 0 likes, like what's the point? It is the long game here. When you really dive into these, you'll see that these are lifestyle changes. You have to change how you spend your time throughout your day, because it is a commitment to have that proper consistency. And we'll get later into how we do more consistency on leveraging things like AI. But Substack is something that we've leveraged a ton, because there's so many ways to connect with people. It's back to a principle, engagement. Substack is a great tool that we use to dive into all these sorts of different community building ways to get, that digital frigital community going.
And yeah, I think, there's basically what we consider our essential platform checklist of, aside from Substack, we're going to walk through some platforms that we think are valuable to reach people, at least in 2025. And it could be a little bit different depending on what type of artist you are, or even what kind of business you have. But, we've found that these are the core places to reach people. So yeah, let's dive a little bit deeper into Substack as our number one recommendation.
That's a big one, because I think a lot of people overlook. They're like, sure, Facebook, sure, Instagram, sure, YouTube, TikTok. If I'm a musician or a podcaster, like Spotify, whatever that may be for your artistry, whatever that niche, platform is. I think Substack is so important to help people, and because Facebook, it's still a community on Facebook. It's not necessarily a more intimate space. So having those super fans a place to be and to collect and to communicate is super important. As for like Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, each one of these have their own angle on how to leverage them. And a lot of people overlook that there's a totally different interest and I would say even a majority demographic on each of those platforms. And they're all kind of looking for something a little bit different. And they also find what things are quote unquote entertaining or educational to be different. So, your brand, you might really pop off on YouTube, and that might really align with your community and where they're at. Or it could really be Instagram. Like Samina, my wonderful partner, who's super talented hairstylist, she's like, there's only Instagram for her. That's just it. There's just only Instagram. Like, sure, you can do other things, but for her, it's like that. So I think everyone can find that, whatever it is for you. Like TikTok, there's more of a short form space. Sure, you can do a 10-minute video, but really it's more of a short form, whereas YouTube's roots are in long form.
So when you're considering your marketing mix, I think it's really important to also consider that all these Web 2 platforms that we're all super familiar with are all dictated by some sort of algorithm, even like to a certain extent. If you have a website or something that's not on a social media platform, like Google has an algorithm as well. And a lot of it also relies on paid advertising. So even if you're posting consistently and following all of the guidelines that we're giving for Instagram, Facebook, your website, etc., you ultimately still rely on some paid advertising to really reach new people that aren't following your page. And I'm sure you've had a similar experience before on a page that you follow. They're posting things and you're not even seeing it. I think there's some workarounds for those things. Like in general, TikTok kind of broke the ceiling on all of that, where they started delivering, things that had no views and trying to just see, are people interested in this or not? And that's how they built their algorithm.
Algorithm. Yeah.
Yeah. That interest-based algorithm, but you're still really relying on it. And then of course, like on your own pages, if you have no following, the algorithm isn't really going to pick up on it. So you have to try all these strategies of desperation. And believe me, we've been there. Oh, can you like, share, and comment on this post? And, please follow my page. Like, you have to do those things to even get any traction or pick up in the algorithm. So that's why, again, our number one recommendation for people, if you really want to build community and engage directly with people, is to get on Substack. Because if you can get them on there one time somehow, like if you're listening, please, at least at a minimum, sign up for our free Substack, because whenever we post this podcast or share an important piece of content, you'll get a direct email newsletter from us that's sharing this information with you. And as long as you keep up with your emails, which I know some of you out there have that little red bubble that says 7,648, you know who you are. But hopefully you'd see our email come through. And, we really believe Substack can be a hub for this, as we have mentioned before and have shown on Substack that there's a lot of different ways that you can link things together. And all this could be accomplished on a website as well. But I think, in terms of it being a feed and a platform that you're on, not just like, I don't think we spend a lot of time going to an artist's individual website or a business's website too much, where we're really on there surfing that platform and picking through things. In that sense, I mean, you can build an email subscriber list from your website, but I think it's a lot more engaging and dynamic to go through Substack for that purpose as well.
Absolutely.
I think it's really a place where, through multi-format media, you can really share your story and also engage in some elements of e-commerce on there. You could have links to your website. You could have links to your other social media. Like, we're posting our podcast here. We're posting newsletters, pieces of content in different forms. Like, I think it's valuable for you to, kind of blog what you're doing, or, just send updates. Like, it's a great way. Like, if you have a new show or a new piece of art coming out, that you could send out an update to everyone that is in your inner circle and make sure that they hear about it and not rely on an algorithm to deliver that information to them. And then, there's also ways, between the analytics, some of the updates and things that you're doing, you can see if people are seeing it or not, if you need to post more. I think that's the other platforms do offer analytics, but I think that there's just a little bit more data here where you can see if someone read the email or if they engaged with it at all, clicked anything. There's some deeper insight here that is pretty valuable, I think, if you're trying to measure success, which is important when you're trying to get the word out. And then, the other thing is that there's other loyalty features in Substack. Like, you can give people benefits. Like, we'll talk about that a little later, what we're doing and what we've mentioned on the prior podcast, and continuing to build our community. But also, you can have comment sections, discussions, there's chats, all sorts of things where you can bring people together. If you had an event, you could start a chat for that, or a certain topic. You could have people chatting about that.
And that's a new feature too, which I think is really exciting, to be able to directly message people in groups. Discord does that, but now Substack does it too.
Bringing it, like directly tying it to your content too is really powerful, I think. And, the biggest thing, I think, of course, is monetization, where there's other platforms like Patreon, where you can offer a one-way subscription. Someone signs up, they get some kind of benefits back, and that's the end of the relationship. But I think here there's a more two-way engagement along with the monetization. So if you offer paid subscriptions, you can offer them exclusive benefits or content through Substack and have that ongoing stream of revenue just for them accessing what you have going on. So there's a lot of different things you can put in there and offerings you can have for your subscribers. But also, like I mentioned, sign up as a free subscriber. We're, getting updates when this podcast comes out, or some of our free pieces of content like this launch kit that we're talking about right now that we'll have linked down in the description. Definitely check out all of our talking points here and follow through and kind of do a check-in on how all of your social media and digital pieces of your identity are being represented, and check that you're really following through on a lot of these strategies and optimizing.
Yeah. And that you mentioned earlier, like this personal landing page, you can use Substack for a website, or you can use it for like a landing page for a specific thing, and it really is almost endless at this point. But there are things, if you are looking to go down the Substack thing, once again, it's an adaptation. It's not necessarily a one-off thing. You've got to post. You've got to be active in this. So you want to do things like maybe you like to write or like to make videos or whatever kind of content thing that it is. Make sure that you are indeed on there and engaging and making it worthwhile for some exclusive things for people to go onto the website and actually engage with you there, because there you can actually, have more of a conversation. They can look up when your show dates might be, or what your most recent album is, and all these things a lot more readily available versus your Facebook or your Instagram. So having a place, a website, Substack, and connecting it with, integrating it with, these other things like your total marketing mix can be super powerful for sure. The next piece I'm pretty excited about, AI, Opus AI. This has been like a huge life changer for us. Just in general, a kind of added bonus here for those who are interested in posting more and who maybe have some long form content that they can kind of cycle through. There are many AI options out there for people to find ways to just save time, and Opus AI is one of the leading solutions in that. And basically how we use it is we just upload our long form content, that's the podcast, into Opus AI through the AI science. It spits out a bunch of videos and even makes captions and the whole shebang, making it super easy for us to post like basically every single day. As long as we make these podcasts, like this saves so much time and efficiency. And that's a great way to stay consistent and to be relevant in the algorithm too, on any platform.
And then you can use those clips across different platforms. We talked about that cross promotion. You could post the same thing in both places, or if you had certain type of content that does better on those other platforms, then you can experiment with where you want that to go. But with needing to make content for all these platforms, that's a huge time saver, because as an artist, doing all this administrative work is really a time suck and takes you away from what you want to be doing. So using tools like that to create not artificial content, but basically as a productivity tool to take your own content and divide that up and save yourself a ton of time just going through and figuring out what would be the right clip and how to edit it out and what to caption it, etc. You can just automate that process.
Yeah. And that's, for a lot of people I talk to, that's a huge thing that they want to do, is learn all these things and do all this sort of kind of behind the scenes that's required to have a successful brand online. And the good news is AI is making it easier and easier for people to do less of that work and focus more on content creation, which is more on creating art. So being creative, which we've talked about many times, that is human. That's what it means to be human. That means to be us. And and the last thing on this launch kit is, well, maybe my most favorite thing of this launch kit, which is like almost a checklist. There's like define your brand, high quality visual assets, like, what kind of take inventory on what you can use to create content, or who you might have to call up, or what you might have to get. Obviously not saying to go and spend a bunch of money on a studio or whatever, but whatever that is for you, get things lined up, get organized, having just like your things lined up, like how does my Instagram look, how does my social media look, taking inventory, and then understanding their kind of like a content calendar, what that might look like for you and on a daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly basis. Are you going to be able to, bring some other people in? Like, that's the community aspect. How are you going to engage your fans and engage other artists that you love and appreciate in your community, and have that sort of, right on paper, like, what are you going to do? And then, for any sort of artistry, like, what's the kind of digital distribution channel or kind of ways of monetizing? How is that working? And so this breaks down in here way more in depth than what I said, but like almost a pre-launch checklist is what we titled it.
And along with this checklist, we have alluded to it before, but really excited to get deeper into our outreach and working directly with artists in the community of Art Arbor with our Art Arbor advisory service. Basically, we have a couple different ways we can go about it, but we are going to be providing an hour call with anyone that signs up on our Substack as a founding member, and we're going to walk you through that process. Or, we also have our NFT coming to a close as well on OpenSea. We're offering anyone who gets in on our Series 1 NFT this benefit as well. But like we mentioned about being flexible on our other podcast a few weeks ago, that we're offering options for you to do it in dollars or in crypto, whatever you're more comfortable with and what's more approachable there. So that we'll walk you through that at the end. But basically, with our Art Arbor Artistry Advisory Agency, a working name, but we like alliteration around here, anything with letter A. Mm-hmm. That's going to be a really powerful way for you to take on a perspective of your business that you don't currently have by working with us and doing a full audit of your brand and your business. And the goal of the audit from our call is to really give you an action plan, even if you never talk to us again, on what you specifically could do based on what you currently have. Because I'd say, regardless of where you are in your career, there's always a way to brush up on your mix or your reach or your strategy. And
there's
that's not
just level.
Yeah, and that's not just from the social media and digital perspective, but we really want to look at a holistic view of where you're at in, your career, whether it's, working on your personal brand and your image and your, professional strategy as an artist, which maybe applies more to those who are newer in their career and getting going. And then there's another piece of it aside from the digital marketing as well, with all the administrative tasks that exist running a business. You'll find out more about that as you go. And just like transitioning from being an independent contractor to maybe having your own LLC, and then from there having, strategies on, maximizing your business expenses. You optimize your tax strategy as a small business and the benefits for an artist of having a business. Then maybe it's legal strategy on protecting your work and your brand, maybe getting into trademark, copyright, wherever that might exist to protect IP or intellectual property online. From there, it could be anything to do with, setting up your banking or your, accounting software, things that, sound really boring. We can
are very necessary. Very necessary.
Very necessary. Very necessary. But I mean, as a financial professional, like I get very into the debits and the credits. If you don't even know what I'm talking about, then maybe you should give us a call, because are not on the accounting game. But I think there's a huge opportunity for you to really look at the legitimacy of your business. I mean, even having insurance. I think a lot of artists go on a live gig, doing some type of performance, and they don't have insurance, and you don't think about these things until they come back to get you in the end. And there's a lot of risk there. I mean, you could seriously put yourself in some debt if you had to hire a lawyer and go to court and deal with all these things. And even if you did all that and you could lose everything you have if you don't have legal protections like a proper business entity structure for your artistic business. Because when you're working for yourself, there's no one to protect you. There's no legal department. There's no HR. There's no function keeping you safe except you. So we've all been through these things, and I've worked on contracts and CRM systems, which is basically just managing your customers. kind of optimizing your communication, your workflows, adding AI and technology into your business to save you time, recommending some software products that could really help you to speed some of these things up without necessarily having to hire someone to outsource all this work to you. But if you're like, hey, I would like to outsource all this work to someone, then that's also something that we can work with you on in our advisory service that we're launching. We're going to get basically this custom audit put together as our primary recommendation for a strategy. And we'll make specific quoting and recommendations if you'd like to continue working with us beyond that. But we also are going to offer everything a la carte as well. So if you have a specific need, like maybe you already have a bookkeeper or an accountant and you have no idea what's going on with your finances and you just need some coaching on understanding where, your profitability, your financial statements, your budgeting, things like that, you could have a call with us about that even one time, and we could give you some direction there. Or, a continual check-in, like maybe just every year at the beginning of the year, you want to work on setting a budget for the year. And you just want to have us be there as a guidance for you and really dig into, where there's opportunity in your business for you to have more income and to thrive. And that's our goal, to work alongside you. But it's really going to come down to what you need as an artist and what you need in your business. And we're here to give you some guidance. And even if you're not quite sure, what you need, we're going to be offering everyone a one-time, about 15 minutes or so. I mean, we're not going to cut you. We're going to be like, 15 minutes, 1 second, you got to go. No, well, I mean, approximately that amount of time, kind of a discovery call, just to get a sense of where you're at and what you need from us. And then from there, we can either dive into that full audit or a partial audit, or just focus in on a specific area and really help you to optimize your business. And that's going to be a huge part of our platform someday when we get there. But for right now, we call it the non-scalable things. The non-scalable things would be meeting with everyone individually. We really believe in doing the non-scalable things first because we want to create that connection and really reach out and help. I mean, and by non-scalable, I mean reaching a mass audience is really what that would be at an efficient scale, because I can't clone myself and be on 24 hours a day. Of course, that would be the scalable part of it. Unfortunately, we can't do that. So we'd love to hear from you. You can reach out to us on any platform to get in touch. Our email, of course, is info@arbor.community. But the best way, as mentioned, to engage with us is through our Substack. So I think that is all for today. A little shorter pod, but we just wanted to get this update out to everyone and see where we're at with Substack. So again, I'm Jake Vanderhayden, joined by
Andrew Arden here, guys. Thank you so much for listening.